Hello and welcome to episode 117 of my podcast all about knitting and crochet in my yarn shop here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'm Kiko and today is November 8th, 2021. And today I'm all dressed in crochet. I like to crochet and I usually have some crochet on the go. Funnily enough, not today, but still most of the things I have are knit. It seems to be easier and I think they're more pattern out for knitting than crochet. I don't know. But anyway, today I'm wearing lots of crochet. The shawl I'm wearing is called Ripple As You Go, and it's a free pattern and it was released as a knit along, a crochet along. It wasn't a mystery crochet along, so they showed the picture what it was going to look like, but the pattern was released in four or five steps, and I don't know how I came along, how I learned about the pattern, but I remember crocheting along as the pattern was released. I checked, it's still a free pattern, but you can just download all the different parts of the pattern in one go now. Back when we started crocheting the scarf, we started crocheting the motifs down here, and I think then we started the shawl on this edge, which was quite a surprise because I thought we'd be crocheting on top of the motifs, but I think when I remember correctly is we then started crocheting here, then crochet down, and then in the last row of the shawl we attached the motifs we'd done before onto the shawl. So it's not difficult to do, it was quite fun, the different steps with crocheting the motifs and then crocheting the long thing and then attaching everything in one go. There's no sewing involved in making this shawl. The yarn is a sock yarn, but it's not the sock weight yarn, it's either 6-ply or DK weight, whatever you will call it, and it's a yarn by Lana Grossa. For a change, it's not opal yarn, it's a yarn I picked up when I was traveling. I really like the color, and as I already knew about the pattern, so I bought 2 balls. So it's 300 grams of yarn that you need if to crochet this shawl. I really like it, and I felt the colors were close to the ones that I crocheted into my Allsorts crochet cardigan, so that's why I picked it to wear it today. But the main reason, or the main thing today, is the cardigan. It's the Allsorts cardigan by Heather from Heather HG Designs Crochet. It's a bit of a mouthful, but she has beautiful crochet patterns. Half of them I test crocheted for her, and so this cardigan I also tested for her. And I think I do have to stand on my chair again to show the whole length of the cardigan. So it's less oversized than the pattern calls for, but I'm really happy with the size that came out and the way it fits me. And I used the thickest sock yarn that Opal make. It's what we call 8-ply in German, and I used that double. So this is the main color that I used for everything, and for the first 3 rounds of every motif I held that double with a different color, with a colorful yarn, and then for the other 2 rounds and for the edges and for the sleeves I used the main color held double. I crocheted the whole thing with a 10mm needle. I think the pattern calls for an 8mm needle, but I crochet really tightly, so to get gauge I had to go. If I to really get gauge I would have had to use a 12mm needle, but that was just too hard to work with and it came out really loose. So if I wanted the jacket to be bigger, I could have crocheted 1 more round onto every motif, but I didn't want it too oversized. I wasn't sure I was going to wear it as much if it was that big, and I'm really, really happy with the size it came out, and I love it. It's very snuggly. I like the colors. The colors are beautiful, and it's a very relaxed fit. Yeah, so really happy. And the reason I'm wearing it today is because the pattern is now available. When I showed the jacket as a finished object, I said I'll wear it as soon as the pattern is released. I should have worn it last week. I wanted to talk about it last week, I forgot. But last week I just had to wear my dress. That's why I didn't wear it last week. But now the pattern is available, and it's not only available on her website, but also on Ravelry. So for a time she only sold her patterns on her website, but now they're available on Ravelry, which I think is a good idea, because that's still a platform where a lot of people look for patterns. And yeah, but you can do both. So if you don't like to use Ravelry, you can buy it on her website. It's linked down below. I will go ahead and link my project page to her, to the Ravelry page where you can buy the pattern. I haven't done that yet because when I crocheted the jacket, the site wasn't up yet. So I will do that as soon as I finished filming. So you can choose whether you want to go to her website or to her Ravelry site, and you can get the pattern if you want to have a beautiful oversized granny square jacket cardigan. Yeah, so that's what I'm wearing today. Then on to finished objects. I have one finished object today, and I'm really happy with it. And it's the Town Square Shawl by Romy. And I thought I'll show you the pattern, the picture of the original, just for fun. Lately I seem to like doing that. The book is New Lace Knitting by Rosemary Hill, or Romy Hill. I've knit that pullover as well in completely different colors, but this is what the shawl looks like in the original. So it's I love the pink, and I was thinking of doing it in pink, and this is what it looks like when it's all blocked. So you're not going to see that from my shawl today because it hasn't been washed and blocked yet. I'll keep that for next week, I think. But this is the color I chose. As I told you before, it's out of the Opal subscription. I've learned since that this color will be in a Opal series next week, in the Africa series. So if you like this color, it will be available next year, together with 7 other beautiful colors. The red was also in the subscription, but there's going to be a beautiful bright yellow, very unusual color for Opal, but looking forward to that. Yeah, so this is the shawl, and you know that I put the bright green stripe in just for fun when the pattern changed from knitting this way to knitting that way, and I finished the lace pattern. So as you can see, it's all still scrunched up, not very visible, but once it's blocked you will be able to see this beautiful lace pattern on the edge, and then there's this other lace pattern here where I knit pattern in every row. It's really hard to show. It's this bit here, I think you can see it now, and then it has the nups that are not very visible. I've no idea how they will come out once it's blocked. Will be interesting. I love blocking things. It's a bit of work, but it's so worth it, and the things change so dramatically in how they look, and also the size will change quite a bit. It's fairly big already, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the size it will have after it's blocked. I had 2 balls of yarn in that color because I was able to swap one of the colors or 2 of the colors in the subscription package, and I got this and the red one from a friend who got 2 of the other colors, and so I had 200 grams to work with, and a friend of mine had offered me her blue yarn in case the 2 weren't enough, but this is what I have left over. So it's not a lot, but I did get, 200 grams was enough to make this big shawl, and maybe that would have been enough to do those 3 rows. I'm not quite sure, but maybe. But if I hadn't used that, would have been a lot closer. So I'm quite happy I did that. And I put on some beads. The beads are not part of the pattern. The pattern has you bind off with these picots, so that's as per pattern. But then I chose to add some beads to the picots. I think they're a bit difficult to show. They are square beads, not round ones, so that's interesting. And they are green. It's probably really difficult to see. And I was quite surprised to find green beads in my collection because I don't really work with green a lot. But yeah, very happy that I had them. They, I think they go with the yarn really nicely. And at first I thought I wouldn't have enough beads. I counted them and I checked the pattern how many picots I was supposed to do. And I think I made a mistake. I think there's 1 stitch too many in between my picots, but I was already halfway done when I realized, but because of that I have fewer picots than I should have had, but for that reason I had enough beads, so I still have a few left even. And I think, I mean, nobody can tell, nobody's going to compare my shawl to the one in the book, and nobody's going to count the picots and measure the distance between them. So I'm really happy that I was able to finish the shawl with the beads I had and with the yarn I had, and I can't wait to wash and block it to see it in all its glory and beauty. Yeah, so that's the finished object for today. Then on to works in progress. And I actually managed to knit on everything that I showed you last week. So it's only the long-term whips that I didn't work on. So I'm still planning on picking some of them up, especially the crochet one. I realized when I prepared for this for today's episode that even though I'm wearing lots of crochet, I'm not working on anything crochet at the moment. So either I cast on something new, or I work on the blanket that I am working on. That's the green blanket that I'm making out of Opal mini skeins of yarn. So maybe I can pick that up, or I'll start something new. We'll see. I'll let you know next week. But on to works in progress, on to the socks I'm working on. And as I said, I put some work into all of the projects. The first one I'm showing you again is the Sockmadness sock from round 6. I think it was round 6, the Madeline socks. And as you can see, I not only knit the 10 rounds that were missing for the placement of the heel, but I also knit 10 more rounds. So I'm really happy with myself. I actually knit 20 rounds on this last week. The pattern has you put the stitches onto waste yarn and then provisionally cast on new stitches and then knit those stitches. But I think with the first sock I also just knit in a contrasting yarn, and then when I take the contrast yarn out I can catch the stitches on top and below the waste yarn, and then I can knit the afterthought heel. And I think this is a lot easier than putting stitches on waste yarn and then provisionally casting on stitches and so on and so forth. So that's what I did. So this is where the heel is going to be at some point. I knit 10 rounds, so there's 30 more rounds before I knit the toe. So maybe I'll go back to knitting 10 rounds a week. Maybe I'll do 20 just for fun. Depends on how I feel when I pick it up. Yeah, but I'm really happy this grew quite a bit. So that's sock number 2. Then sock number 2, also from the Sockmadness, is one of the bonus patterns, the Marbon Morn socks. These are the beautiful blue out of the Beauty series by Opal, and yeah, I misplaced the beads, but then I found them again, and last week I think I showed you the first 3 beads in the pattern. Again, the beads aren't too clearly visible, but I think you can see them here. And then there's some more beads there and some more here and some more here. So it doesn't look like a lot, but yeah, it takes time to put the beads in. So that's all I managed. But I think I've now done 2/3 of all the beads. I think there's two more stripes of these 3 beads next to each other that I have to do, and then I will start with the heel. But it's not a normal heel. It's one of those heel constructions where you increase stitches. Yeah, and so I will continue the pattern, but I will also increase stitches for the heel. And then there's just this one little bit, I think it's the heel turn. And yeah, anyway, so a little more pattern with beads and then start the heel increases. That's how far I got with this one. And then I added some rounds on the Dubai socks by Knitting Expat by Mina Phillip. So I started these socks as a Christmas gift and then decided they're too small for the intended recipient, so I'm going to keep them for myself. So I just added a few more rounds, a few more pattern repeats. I had kind of hoped that this is long enough, but it's not. I have small feet, but they're not that small. So I have to add a few more pattern repeats before I can knit the toe. But as I said, they're for me now, so it's not a big, they don't have a high priority, and I just put some rows on here and there. We'll see. But I still need to knit my presents. So this is the sock couple I knit every year, and last week I showed you I changed to this yarn by Opal. It's their Memories series, beautiful series, and I think perfect yarn to be knitting without a pattern, just vanilla socks. And I put in the heel and I knit a little bit off the foot, and I still think it's a beautiful yarn, and I'm really happy that I chose to do it contrast heel. I mainly did it because I thought I'd get bored if nothing changes things up, but also with the stripes I think it's a good idea to do a contrast heel, to just keep these stripes going the way they are. I've put in all those markers I put a marker every 10 rounds so that I don't have to count all the time. You could count the stripes, but it's not that, what's the word? Yeah, the stripes aren't always exact. It's not as exact as counting the rounds, so I prefer counting the rounds and not the stripes. Yeah, but this is what I did last week, and really enjoy knitting these. It's a perfect project to be knitting while I'm doing something else, watching TV, talking to people, teaching, whatever. So I really enjoy that, and I'm also looking forward to knitting the other color, the orange ones. So it was very good that I chose to do these first, so I can. Looking forward to knitting the other color motivates me to finish these. Yeah, and then, no more other socks. That's four socks that I have on the go. I think that's enough socks. Then on to the sock yarn projects that are not socks. And I don't know, did I mention that my finished project Shawl was part of the pattern battle in the Opal Abo, in the Opal subscription group? Don't know, but it's the old pattern battle, and the new one, I'm knitting a hat now. It should be quicker than the shawl, and also this is just a one skein project. This is the color of the current pattern battle, and I'm knitting the hat Circle and Square by Martina Behm, and this is what I've knit so far. So this is growing quite big. So if that was a hat like this, it would already be, no, it wouldn't be too big, but yeah, I could do decreases now and have one of those French hats. Yeah, but that's not how it works. As I've told you last week, what happens is that it's folded in half, and then the hat is actually double thickness most of the way. And yeah, so this is what it's going to look like, either this side or that side. I still prefer this side because there's more yellow on this side. So could look something like this. But this bit down here needs to be big enough to go around my head. So I still have to keep going this way, and then all the other things happen. I'll let you know when I do them. Yeah, so that's the hat, Circle and Square by Martina Behm. And the other Martina Behm pattern I'm knitting is her Tubularity. And I just need to quickly get this. Yeah, so I started off with colors with yarn by Wolldackel, hand-dyed yarn by Wolldackel. I had mini skeins. So this was one mini, this was one mini. Then I had two minis in this color, and I had two minis in this color. Finished the second one in this color, and now I'm switching over to Drachenwolle yarn. So Drachenwolle is a different German hand dyer, and I knit, by the way, I knit this pullover out of Drachenwolle yarn, and I used 3 different colors to knit that jumper, and those were the 3 colors. Oops, come on. And in the pullover I knit them in this order, so I started with the light one, did that one, and then finished with this. Originally I had decided I wanted to knit the pullover only in this color, and I think that would have been nice too, but then I got the other 2 colors and I thought it'd be fun to mix those together. But this is all the leftovers I have from the pullover, and then I decided for the tubularity I was going to add these to the Wolldackel colors, and I decided to change the direction or the order of the colors into this order. So the next color that I'm going to be knitting will be this blue color, which I think will look nicely together with this. And then I will switch to the white and then finish off with the dark. And I think that should be a nice mix. I think those blue and white colors look nicely together, and then this end will have more bright colors, and yeah, we'll see how that works out. That's the plan. And I'm not planning on completely using those balls up, because I had the minis that I got from Wolldackel were 20 grams, and I think each of these leftovers are more than 40 grams, and I think it'd be too long if I knit them up completely. So basically my idea was to do the different stripes the same length as these stripes, more or less. Doesn't have to be exact. I will probably count the rounds just for me to know, but then I'll see what it looks like. And especially with the last color, I think this is the biggest of the 3 balls, because then there's the garter stitch edging. One idea is to do the whole just the garter stitch edge in this color, or maybe half. I think the pattern says with the last color you do half of it with stockinette and then the other half in the garter stitch, but I don't know yet. Yeah, I had with this garter triangle, I had 2 different colors, and the second color goes into the stocking stitch a little bit before I started the other color. So I don't know yet. This is one of the many decisions you have to make when you knit things and change things up from the pattern. Yeah, but enjoy knitting that a lot. Look forward to how all the colors will look together. Yeah, and the next project, yeah, the shawl's done, so I already showed that. So the square shrug I'm working on in the 100 Wasser yarn by Opal. This is the square I'm knitting. I'm still knitting but I'm getting closer to the end. So last time I told you that this like diamond shape is going to be the last one that will have this lace detail in the middle. And last week I was still working on this lace pattern and I finished it. It's always those there are 4 little holes in the middle of this diamond shape, and I finished knitting those. It's really hard to tell, and I've started decreasing up. So once this motif is finished, in the next one that's starting here, I won't put the lace detail, and then I will decide that this square is big enough, and then I will start doing the whole thing of folding it and sewing 2 seams and then doing the 3 edgings that need to be done. Yeah, but I'll show that to you when I get there. Yeah, and I've worked on this for such a long time. I'm really feeling the urge to get this finished and off the needles, but it will still take a bit of time. Yeah, then the only non-sock yarn project I think I'm working on at the moment is the hat for my son who wanted a wizard's hat. I'm using Baby Alpaca by Hansa Farm. That's the machine washable one. It's called Alpaca. And this is what the hat looks like at the moment. So this is where I stopped increasing. So this is the bit that I've knit straight so far. And on this hat head, it looks quite good. But you can see I still have to knit a little bit. And I think my son's head is a bit bigger than this glass head. And I've put some stuff into the hat to make it stand up. At the moment it really looks a lot like the gnomes I knit. Yeah, but once the brim starts growing, it will start looking like a wizard's hat. Yeah, quite happy with that. I've started both the second balls of yarn, and yeah, we'll see how far I get with them once I start increasing for the brim. Yeah, so that's the hat. Whoops. These glass heads are quite heavy. So that's that. And that brings us to the knit-alongs. And I forgot to put a long cable into the Geckolino. I wanted to put a long cable in to show how big this is now. It's quite bunched up on the needle, but yeah, not too bad, I think. If you look here, this is the depth of the shawl that I have now. It's not too bad, I think. I finished knitting the Garter stripe, and I also, yeah, I purled back the row that I have to purl back before I do the eyelets, before I do the lace detail pattern thing. So that's what I'll do next. And I still have a bit of yarn left. It's not too much, so I think this will be the last time I do the lace detail, and then I'll just have to see how many garter stripes I can knit, so that I still have enough yarn to cast off. I would probably do the lace bit and then maybe 1 garter stripe, and then I will start weighing the yarn before and after every row, so that I know how much yarn I'm approximately using for every row. And then when I have enough yarn to do 2 rows, I think that's when I cast off, because casting off takes about, I think it takes twice as much yarn than knitting a row. So this is the length of the edges. It's not awfully long, but I think it's absolutely long enough to tie it around your neck. And because of the way this is knit, because of the design, you don't have to have extremely long ends for the shawl to sit nicely, because of the way the increases are placed, this sits really nicely and it won't slide off even if the ends aren't that long. So yeah, that should be nice. So maybe next week I will remember to put it on a long cable so I can better show you how big it is. That's the Geckolino, that's like the little knit along we're doing. And I knit on my Optic blanket. And the plan at the moment is to knit 1.5 squares every week so that I can get this blanket finished this year. And I managed to do that. So I had half of this square last week and I finished this square and I added this square. This is a leftover yarn from a cardigan, a hooded cardigan that I knit some years ago that I love wearing and really enjoyed using that yarn again. Yes, I really enjoy thinking of all my old projects while I knit those squares. So these were socks I knit for my cousin. This is the dinosaur blanket I crocheted for her son. So yeah, many happy memories in this blanket, even though it's not a memory blanket by name, but using leftovers, I still remember all the things that I knit and crocheted before. Yeah, that's everything I knit and crocheted last week, except for the mystery project I'm not showing yet. I put some work into that project as well, so it's growing nicely. And yeah, I'm still hoping to get it done on time. And once it's done and once it's been given to the recipient, I will show you here. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode and I will see you in the next one. Bye!